Many people underestimate wild animals. Most hunters believe that animals are guided solely by innate instincts and are incapable of broader thinking. However, residents from remote areas say the opposite. Elders assert that predators can also experience deep emotions and can assist not only their fellow creatures but also humans who hunt them. In the Vladimir region, in a small village, there lived an elderly woman with her 11-year-old grandson. The boy lost his parents at an early age. They died in a car accident, so he was raised by his grandmother from childhood. This tough old lady spent almost her entire life surrounded by wild forests, and from a young age, she taught the boy to love nature and treat all animals with respect. Moreover, she was well versed in the beneficial properties of wild herbs and did not believe in pills and mixtures. One day, the elderly woman suddenly felt unwell. Her head began to spin, and she lost consciousness. When her grandson came home from school, he found his grandmother lying on the ground and unable to get up. Despite her protests, the boy called the doctor. With the help of neighbors, they carried the sick woman into the house. The man said that special equipment was needed for examination, which was only available in the city. Without it, he couldn't provide an accurate diagnosis. But the woman firmly refused to leave her hut. She did not want to leave the child alone. Instead, the next morning, she called her grandson to her and gave him a list of plants to collect in the forest. The boy did not argue and prepared for the hike. He took a flask of water and a dry ration with him, just in case he had to stay in the forest longer. About an hour later, the boy reached the place where he and his grandmother had often gathered berries and useful herbs. He became very engrossed in his foraging, as he wanted to help his grandmother recover as soon as possible. However, while looking at the plants, the boy forgot to watch his step. He heard branches crackling beneath him unexpectedly, and he fell into a pit. Recovering from the shock, he realized he had fallen into a trap. The pit was deep. The boy desperately tried to climb up, but his attempts were in vain. There was nothing to grab onto, and the hard clay did not yield to deformation. Therefore, he couldn't dig steps to climb out of the pit. The boy began to scream desperately, but no one responded. From the strain, he even lost his voice. He spent 3 days trapped. He had eaten all his food and was using water sparingly to last longer. At one point, he heard rustling from above. The boy looked up with hope, expecting to see a human face, but instead, a fox's furry face appeared. The fox stared at the boy for a long time before disappearing. By evening, a piece of raw fish fell into the pit. The fox was standing above, watching as the boy eagerly ate its offering, despite the fact that the food was raw. In the following couple of days, the predator regularly brought the boy food. He did not disdain the raw fish. He was more worried that he had run out of water. Finally, early in the morning, the boy heard footsteps and then saw the surprised faces of 2 men. Experienced hunters managed to pull the boy out. They gave him a little water to help him recover quickly. Suddenly, the boy saw the fox on the ground under the net, which had been feeding him all this time. The men explained that it was the fox that had led them into the thicket, otherwise, they would have never found him. Because the animal was behaving strangely, as if playing tag with the men, they did not shoot at it. Only when the fox approached the pit did they throw a net over it. The boy told them how the fox had saved his life and asked to release the animal. The hunters were surprised but did not argue. The fox did indeed behave strangely, as if it had intentionally led the men to the pit to save the boy from death. Only the boy's grandmother, who was very happy about her grandson's rescue, was not surprised at all. It seemed she knew that animals were much smarter than people thought and were also capable of noble deeds.